Let us begin with a prayer. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. We bow down to the sage Patanjali, who gave us the knowledge of yoga for the purification of chitta, knowledge of Sanskrit grammar for purification of speech, and the knowledge of Ayurveda for purification of the body. So, dear friends, very quick recap. I hope all of you remember. We had a long discussion in the last class about Nirodha Parinam, where the Vyuthana Samskar Abhibhava, the suppression of the externalizing modifications of the mind, and Nirodha Samskar Pradhurbhavo. It means the modifications or the vrittis of dispassion or internalizing vrittis increase. That kind of a transformation of the chitta is known as Nirodha Parinam. Patanjali says, after following the Ashtanga Yoga, you reach Samadhi. And then in those states of Samadhi, as you further go and progress in evolution, the initial most Samadhi, Sampranyat Samadhi, which is also called as Sabija Samadhi, where what is happening there? There still the deeper samskaras in the chitta remain, but the superficial layers of the chitta calm down. Okay, the chitta vritti nirodha happens and you get into Sabija or Sampradnyata Samadhi. Then Patanjali says that when you try to go deeper, after attaining the superficial Samadhi, then your chitta undergoes different kinds of transformations. Okay, before this, chitta had lot of vrittis. Okay, and you were just, the chitta vrittis are those which, when you try to internalize, these vrittis bring you out again, or they make you go into sleep. Correct? So the nidra, smriti, vikalpa, viparyaya, and even pramana, where the sense of I-ness remains, so you cannot perceive the object as it is. Once that is also dissolved, you get into Sampradnyata Samadhi. When you get into Sampradnyata Samadhi, after that, you have just got entry into the higher dimension of yoga. That is the first step. You are now in LKG. So Samadhi is the first step. Final state is Kaivalya. Now, in between this, what is happening? There is further and further purification of the chitta, deeper and deeper purification of chitta is happening. And in that, the chitta, as it gets purified, it also gets transformed. So there are three kinds of transformations that Patanjali now describes: Nirodha Parinam, Samadhi Parinam, and Ekagrata Parinam. So the transformation because of the internalizing vrittis. So this is known as internalizing transformation, which is known as Nirodha Parinam. The personality of the person changes. After this, no more the person finds that kind of a passion in external things. His whole passion is turned inwards. After that, there is a kind of a personality that develops that has intense, what you can say, inward drive, a drive to go inwards. And that becomes the primary drive of the life. So as the person grows, very few things can draw the person out. Otherwise, the person is always turned in. And it becomes more and more intense as the time goes by. Once person reaches that kind of a state when the chitta vrittis are always internalized, not even the greatest of pleasures of the senses can actually draw the person in his core out. Then he gets into the next parinama. Tasya prashant vahita samskarat. So here what happens? Once he gets internalized, with the flow of the vritti of dispassion, the chitta becomes calmer and calmer. As you get more and more desireless, as you become more and more desireless, संकल्प रहित बोला है, जितने desires उसके कम होते जाते हैं for external things, he gets more and more internalized. As he gets more and more internalized, his desires for external thing becomes lesser and lesser. Then once he reaches a state when the person is completely desireless, then he is called as Jivana Mukta. So main criteria to call a person Jivan Mukta, Bhagavad Gita में भी description में संकल्प रहित होना चाहिए. He should not have any desire. It means that his internalizing vrittis have become the predominant force now. Like in a person who is completely extrovert, for him sense pleasure and externalizing vritti is predominant one. That is the very drive, the very motivation to live life. I want this, I want that. Now imagine a 180-degree transformation where the person's primary drive is, I want to turn inwards. I want to reach the very source of my creation at any cost. I can die for it. Nothing is able to draw him out. So this is the first transformation in the personality, which is called as Nirodha Parinam. But it can only happen when person had got at least glimpse of Sampradnyata Samadhi. Means he was able to feel some bliss within him. And he was able to completely dissolve himself momentarily into that. Once he experiences that, this happens. Some people even go through mantra into that. Some people go through aushadhi. Some people go through the systematic practice of yoga. With aushadhi, even psychedelics, people have showed that if they get that glimpse of samadhi, after that they don't find anything else very interesting, but they become more meditative, more spiritual, internalized. So these kind of vrittis can come up. But as I told you in the last class also, that it is a very delicate thing. You have to do it very systematically and not try to take any shortcuts. So this is very clear. Patanjali is saying that as the internalizing vrittis become more and more dominant, chitta becomes more and more calm, prashanta vahita. Then what happens? The second transformation. Sarvarthatay ekagratayoho kshayo udayo chittasya samadhi parinamaha. Samadhi parinama, or the trance-related transformation, happens when multifaceted modifications of samskaras become subdued and only one pointed modification rises in the chitta. Sarvartha kshayo. Sarvartha means having many meanings. That becomes kshaya, becomes less. And ekagrata udayo, one pointedness rises. So now when I am turned inwards, my general tendency is to go inwards. When I go inward, I see that deeper samskaras start coming on the surface, and in those deeper samskaras, in the beginning, I identify and get swayed away by them, seeing, okay, this samskara represents this memory, this samskara represents this life, this kind of experience, this is there in me. So those nama, rupa and shabda of those samskaras, they attract me. So initially I developed dispassion towards external sense objects, but I still have passion towards internal impressions. Then in the samadhi parinama, what happens? Those internal impressions also, I start developing dispassion, because they are also, in a way, I have only changed my direction. Still, those impressions are about senses only. Whatever memory I have is what I have heard, what I have experienced. So therefore, here also person starts developing dispassion, and those samskaras initially impress the person because he gets a lot of insights into his past lives, into so many aspects of it. But after knowing that, after going through that, those sarvartha means it appears like, oh, this is infinite. So many things are there, but ultimately this is nothing but pancha mahabhuta and three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Apart from that, this whole play is nothing else. So internal world, पहले उसको बाह्य जगत से वैराग्य होता है. फिर उसको मानस जगत से, फर्स्ट वैराग्य टुवर्ड्स आकारा, then vairagya towards ukara also. So this is the second step of transformation, which has been called as samadhi parinam, because all the impression that come up here are always coming in a state of deep trance. So one is forgetting himself and then the chitta is revealing itself. So in that state, when things are sarvartha kshayo, ekartham udayo. What is that ekartha? Only one thing that remains, that neti, neti, this is not that what I want. This is not my true swarupa. I want to go to the very core of it. I want to go further internal. This is the second parinama. Now here I want to bring to you, one very important aspect that comes in the first chapter that we had discussed. In 1.50, Patanjali says, Tajjah samskarayo anyah samskar pratibandhi. When this kind of samskara comes, where you have developed nirodha samskar, internalizing samskar, and that internalizing samskar has got one-pointed. Slowly it is multi-pointed. Though it is internalized, it is multicentric. Then it becomes single-centric. This kind of samskara, when it becomes established, it develops a power of destroying all other samskaras. Whenever we internalize, there are certain aspects of memory. They are very deep-rooted. And no matter what we try, we are not able to get rid of those memories. Especially you see people who have undergone some kind of a trauma, in PTSD, memory is the problem. Smriti is the problem. Deep internalized samskaras. Because whenever that memory comes, associated with that, there are emotions which are very distressing. It can be right from the childhood, or even you see in psychoanalytical therapies, they say that it may be even deeper, even in the womb or even early childhood. So these kind of memories, Patanjali says that if you are able to develop this one-pointed samadhi parinam or nirodha samskar, that has a healing effect. Because this one samskara becomes pratibandhi for all other samskaras. So this shows that a PTSD patient, generally we say that we should not ask them to close their eyes. We should not ask them to turn inwards. Otherwise, they will get those flashbacks more vividly. And they will get into a state of panic. But Patanjali is telling that if you are able to go inward, but with dispassion, then you will be able to develop a kind of a samskara of dispassion, which will be able to destroy these samskaras. So definitely you cannot directly jump into samadhi for a patient, but if the patient walks on the path of asana, pranayama, continued pranayama for a long time, and then develops that kind of a capability of mindfulness, that he can remain non-judgmental and observe, and go deeper and develop that observership, that witnessing within him, which is non-judgmental, then person can free himself. This is the concept that we use in mindfulness also, mindfulness meditations and all, that you still internalize, because beyond that, there is prashanta vahita. You will be able to reach that state of calmness. So people use mantras. Say I have PTSD, I will hold on to a mantra towards whichever deity, or whichever force of nature that I am attracted to, whichever law, whichever principle that I am attracted. And I will use that mantra as a cue to make me turn inwards. So Shraddha, Virya, Samadhi, Prajna, correct? Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. So Shraddha is very important here. Shraddha is that my solution lies within me. This is the Shraddha in yoga. Yoga, what Shraddha, what firm faith the disciple has is, my problems, the solution lies within me. Okay? And the peace that I am seeking, I will be able to touch it within me. But for that, I have to continuously do abhyasa of turning myself inwards and develop vairagya towards whatever that draws me outward. If I continuously do that, there will come a state when all other samskaras will be blocked, only mantra samskara will remain. And that mantra, will be able to get me into deeper and deeper state of calmness of the mind. I will get. So I am moving towards the source of my creation, because there lies my healing. And in my periphery, everything is ephemeral. It is there, then it is not there. So I am fluctuating in the periphery, but in my core, I am more stable. I am more safe. I am healed. So this is very important sutra that tells that internalizing vritti has a healing effect. We cannot do this in patient with psychosis. We need patient who have Vijnanamaya Kosha, who have insight. But in those cases, in depression, in anxiety, this kind of vritti has a healing effect. So generally, we have this idea, that we do not advise people who have externalizing traits, who have internalizing traits, to go inwards. Okay, this person already internalizes, so I don't tell him to go inward. I tell him to do akara and go outward. Correct? But once you bring about a kind of a balance in them, okay, inward and external is balanced, and they are able to develop that kind of a ability to remain non-judgmental towards whatever is happening. Once that ability is cultivated, this is like Viveka Khyat. So first, through talk therapy, through teaching them superficial meditation, mindfulness techniques, we have to develop that Sakshi Bhava in them. Once that anchoring becomes strong, then actually one should go inward again. So initial external and internal is to just balance and bring them to a state of sense of observership. But after you develop that, the next step is that you have to take everybody inward. Tatah pratyak chetana adhigamo antaraya. So you have, in yoga means that you have to turn inward. But it may be possible that the vrittis are so impure that you may have to balance inward and outward in the initial phase. But once you have cultivated that, you have to turn inward only. Yes. Then the third parinama. We saw two parinamas. First one was Nirodha parinama. It is the transformation of internalizing. I turn inward, which is dispassion outward. Second parinama is Samadhi parinama, where there is dispassion towards internal cues as well. Then the third parinama, Tataha punaha Shanta udito tulya pratyayayo. Pratyaya, we had a deep discussion. Pratyaya is whatever is projected in the chitta is pratyaya. It can be the external sense organs, sensations, or it can be the Atman. Both, whatever is the substratum in chitta is pratyaya. He says that through repeated practice, when the chitta develops the capability of remaining in trance, internalized, stable, calm, peaceful, independent of whether externalizing or internalizing samskaras rise up or go down. This state of chitta is ekagrata parinama, or transformation of stability in concentration. So the person in the beginning, as a baby starts walking, it falls again and again. But after that, it develops balance and then starts running. And baby doesn't even have to think that I am running, correct? So in the same way, yogi is learning a new aspect of dealing with his own chitta. He has become very aware. He can make sense of what is going on within him. Slowly, slowly, as he gets deeper, deeper and develops that one-pointed concentration towards his core and develops a contact with his core. After that, it is very difficult to move him. Then the chitta on one side keeps cleansing itself, giving him as he, keeps on living his life, doing his duties, he keeps on getting newer and newer insights from within him. Many deeper samskaras start coming onto the surface, including the samskaras they talk about, not only this life, but of different kind of jati, like you were an animal or a plant, all those samskaras also come up. But then yogi reaches a kind of a state where he is stable in all those things. He starts watching them as if he is watching some movie which doesn't belong to him, but it is somebody else's. So he develops complete dispassion, and this is actually the fundamental concept of current mindfulness based therapy, no? That whether it is a shanta or udita, you remain tulya. Whatever pratyaya is coming on the chitta, you in its rise, or whether when certain kind of samskara is coming, you don't get attracted towards it. When it is going, you have no attraction, no aversion. You remain tulya in your pratyaya. That parinama of the chitta is known as the ekagrata parinama. This is how the stability in concentration is developed. So see, 400 BC, Patanjali talks about the third wave psychotherapy. Very clear. Shanta, udit, tulya pratyaya. Whatever impression are coming on the chitta, whether they are shanta or they are rising up, you remain tulya. You remain mindful, balanced. This is ekagrata. So beautiful. एतेन भूत इंद्रियेषु धर्म लक्षण अवस्था परिणामा व्याख्याता. Now Patanjali is saying that in the same way, like I have described you, the parinama or transformation that happens in the chitta, in the same way of a yogi, there is a transformation that happens in his body in the form of Panchamahabhutas, and in his indriyas, in his sense organs. So his sensory faculties also undergo a transformation, and his physical body also undergoes a transformation. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Natu mam shakyase pashyatum swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamaishwaram. With your this eyes, which is filled with so many samskaras, you will not be able to see me in my true form. I will give you divya chakshu. What kind of chakshus they are? Where the deeper samskaras are all cleansed. Now you can perceive me. So in this very life that we live in, there are so many colors to see. There are so many sounds to hear. There are so many fragrances to feel that we are not able to perceive through our senses, because our senses are covered by lot of layers of deeper samskaras that are making them very narrowed in their what you can say spectrum. 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz we can hear. Bats, hypersonic, supersonic, they hear many more sound which we can't, but they are facts. Correct? In the same way of these yogis, their range of perception widens. Whether it is the ability to see the visual spectrum, where we cannot see X-rays, no, but they are there. Through film we can see, or infrared rays, or electromagnetic waves. But these yogis, there is a parinama, there is a transformation in the chitta. And because of that transformation in the chitta, there is a transformation of the bhutas. And because of the transformation of the bhutas and indriyas, all those vibhutis that Patanjali will describe in the Vibhuti Pada, the siddhis come up. So fundamentally, their chitta gets purified. With the chitta, similar kind of transformation happens in the Panchamahabhutas in their body, and their sensory faculties become more and more sensitive. So this is how you have to understand. So what kind of parinamas are there? There 3 parinamas were there in chitta. What were they? The Nirodha parinam, Samadhi parinam, Ekagrata parinam. Now when it happens in the body and the senses, it is called as Dharma parinam, Lakshan parinam, Avastha parinam. Okay? What does it mean? See, chitta and the body, they are two spectrum of the same thread. This is a very subtle aspect of that thread. This is the grossest aspect of that thread. Here it is body. Here it is chitta. When this gets transformed, that transformation travels into the senses, reaches the body. So here, what has happened? Nirodha has happened. I am internalized. So all the energy that was going out, it requires a lot of energy to even have a bhoga. Pranic energy, prana, has to go through that sense organ, flow out. That gives us that feeling of joy, but the prana flows out. Therefore, they say too much indulgent if a person is, his prana shakti or his ability of his senses to enjoy things dampens quickly. So one who has led a very worldly life, too much engrossed into senses, he, according to yoga, his aging will be faster. Whereas one who has lived a life of a samyama, no control, रेगुलेशन ऑफ द सेंस ऑर्गन, वो अपने सेंस ऑर्गन को कंट्रोल करके रह रहा है, तो उसका एजिंग स्लो होगा, क्योंकि उसकी प्राण शक्ति को वो प्रिजर्व करता है. नहीं तो हम जो भी भोग लेते हैं उसमें प्राण शक्ति फ्लो हो जाती है. द नेचर ऑफ प्राणा इज दैट द मोर इंटेंस इमोशंस आर इन्वॉल्व्ड व्हेन द सेंस ऑर्गन टच द ऑब्जेक्ट. आप जितने इमोशन के साथ इन्वॉल्व होते हो उतना प्राणा ज्यादा खर्च होता है. सेम एक्शन, यू नो, इफ देयर इज ए गुलाब जामुन and I am very attached to it and I eat it with lot of passion, though I am consuming calories, my prana will be lost. Whereas okay, gulab jamun है, नहीं है चलेगा, खा लिया, तो उतना सलाइवेशन उतना नहीं हो रहा है. तो प्राणा का उतना लॉस नहीं. समझ में आए? तो this is what he is saying. When nirodha parinama happens in the chitta, my prana is retained in my body more. You know, so my bhutas remain pure. Bhuta shuddhi happens. चित्त शुद्धि से भूत शुद्धि, भूत शुद्धि से इंद्रिय शुद्धि. And when indriya shuddhi takes place, then the horizon through which your indriyas function widens. You are able to perceive things which others can't. Okay, and you are able to do, you know, certain kind of self-reflection, certain kind of observation within you, which gives you deeper insight of how the universe functions. And then those laws are revealed to you, which you, when you make use of them, to others they appear like vibhutis. But for you, it is just an expansion of the dimension in which you were functioning till now to the next one. So in dharma parinama, it goes parallel with nirodha parinam. Okay, so when my chitta turns inwards, the very dharma means the very substratum of these pancha mahabhutas within me undergoes a change. What happens? Patanjali says, tato dvandva anabhigataha. Heat and cold, they won't affect. So heat is the property of fire mahabhuta. Coldness is the property of water mahabhuta. They will not affect. So dharma parinama means the way those mahabhutas are functioning within me, they get more in harmony with my system. Okay, then lakshana parinam. Lakshana goes in parallel with samadhi parinam in the chitta. Okay, so in samadhi parinam, what was happening? The internal impressions also which are coming, I was becoming dispassionate towards them. Correct? So here what happens? One is the very substratum of these substances change, and in the second aspect, the subtler aspect of these Mahabhutas are Panchavayus. So each Mahabhuta is governed by a Vayu, or we also call it as Tanmatra. So in those Tanmatra also there is a Parinama or transformation. They also get more and more calm, pacified, and under my control. And then Avastha Parinam. Avastha Parinam is when we say that there is a Ekagrata Parinam in the Chitta. There is a Avastha Parinam that is taking place in the Bhuta and Indriya. So Avastha Parinam means that I am able to bring these Mahabhutas, these Indriyas also in touch with the source of creation. My Chitta touches the source of creation. All these Indriyas and Mahabhutas also touch the source of creation and develop a capability of creating things. Okay, so I am moving towards deeper and deeper core. Ultimately, Kaivalya is when I become one with the source of the creation. Initially, my Chitta touches it and gets purified. Then my Indriyas get purified. Then my Mahabhutas get purified. And then all of them get in sync together, aligned with the source of creation within me. And then what happens? Then the Vibhutis start manifesting themselves. Shant, Udit, Avyapadesha, Dharma, Anupati, Dharmi. So now he's saying that when these transformations are happening, you see that the past, present, or unmanifest, which is there in the deeper aspect of the Chitta, whatever substratum that is there, everything can be called as a Dharmi. Dharmi is something that is undergoing transformation. So it is the whole substratum of the Chitta, of the Indriya, and of the Bhutas that is changing in its very fundamental nature that it exists. This transformation that is happening in the substratum, that substratum is called as Dharmi. So henceforth, Patanjali, whenever Patanjali uses Dharmi, you have to understand that Dharmi is the very substratum of the Chitta, Bhuta, and Indriya, which is undergoing a transformation as the person is moving towards more and more purificatory kind of states or Kaivalya. Okay. So then after this, Patanjali starts describing various kind of what you can say states or the various kind of vibhutis, where he says that if you do samyama on something, then something happens. Okay. So the very next sutra, if you see, here Patanjali says, Kramanatya parinam anyatve hetuhu. Kramanatyam. So let me just put it on the website here. What is the hetu? What is the hetu for that parinama to happen? Okay. Karmanatyam parinam anyatve hetuhu. Sequence, difference of transition because of. What kind of transformation is happening? It depends on what is the krama or the sequence of that change of the. See, please understand that this is a very dynamic process. It is not something that is suddenly happening on one day. Day after day, samadhi parinama, nirodha parinama is increasing. Every day as I go through various experiences of my life, my vairagya towards the external objects is increasing. So I am establishing myself in nirodha parinama day by day, day by day, day by day. And then after reaching that, then I am developing interest towards internal impressions. Then I am observing them day by day, day by day, day by day, and then slowly developing vairagya towards them also. And then from sarvarthata, I am coming towards the ekagrata. And then coming to the ekagrata, I am now, whatever impression are coming or going, I am not getting deviated from my internalized stable state. So I have learned this whole process through a long time of continued practice of internalizing. So Patanjali says that krama anyatvam parinamanyatve hetuhu. So the main reason behind this parinama that is happening is from krama. Krama, Patanjali means that the sequence and also the moment to moment change. Krama also means that every moment, like now I am talking to you, every moment there is a change. If you take a photo of me and show me in the next second, that Hemant in the photo is not this. This has changed now. Correct? What you capture, by the time you reach the object, that object has already moved. So it is a flowing river. So in that krama, Patanjali goes in detail about krama in 4th chapter again. So moment to moment, moment to moment, moment to moment, transformation keeps happening. And these transformations, which are momentary, accumulate together to bring about a bigger transformation over a period of time. But you cannot make it out when the transformation happened. Like कैसे आपके बाल कब बड़े हो गए आपको पता भी नहीं चलता है ना. When your hair have grown, you don't know, but they have grown so much. So every moment they are growing. So in the same way, the moment to moment awareness of what goes on within my chitta is the key factor towards bringing this kind of a parinama or the change that are happening. So Patanjali wants to tell us that please do not understand this process as a static process that happens on a single day. It is a continuously flowing dynamic process. Okay. So this is one. And after this, when Patanjali has explained everything, how, what is the mechanism through which these vibhutis are coming up, he starts now describing vibhutis. So we will just take up 1 or 2 vibhutis and then stop. So the first vibhuti that Patanjali says is parinam traya sanyamad atit anagat jnanam. If you do samyama, means dharana, dhyana and samadhi, on the 3 parinamas that I have described, okay, then you will get the knowledge of what has happened in the past and also of what will happen in the future. Can anybody apply any logic? How is it possible? By doing samyama on the 3 parinamas. Nirodh parinam, samadhi parinam, ekagrata parinam. Or dharma lakshan and avastha parinam at the bhuta level. You can know what has happened in the past and you will know what will happen in the future. कैसे पता चलेगा? How is it? It is beyond time. Atit anagata jnanam. What has happened in the past? Not with other, with you only. What has happened with you in the past and what will happen with you in future, you will come to know if you do parinama on these 3 sanyama on these 3 parinama. What is the mechanism you can think of? She's saying that in the past also everything is related to Pancha Mahabhuta and future also Pancha Mahabhutas will be there. Thoda mystical angle. Okay, Shreyas. Shreyas, please unmute and share your views.
Yes.
Unmute.
Is my voice audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So because of samyama, we are aware about our vrittis or the patterns in which we behave. So this cyclical pattern becomes known, and that is why we are able to predict what will happen.
Okay. So he's telling that you see, you first thing in samadhi or in yogic knowledge, first thing you have to do is shabda, artha, and jnana vikalpa. That you should be able to separate. So imagine, that there are two kind of vrittis that are coming in you. One is a utthana vritti. That is that consists of your desires for the external world. Correct? And there is a nirodha vritti that consists of your dispassion towards that. Correct? Now, if you are clearly able to see as your deeper samskaras from the chittas are coming up, you will clearly know when a particular image, when a particular instance, event that comes onto my chitta, what kind of emotions are accompanying that. Correct? So it will tell you clearly that definitely I have this much of attraction even now towards this particular image or this particular thing in my chitta. It means that in the past, I have done lot of activities where I have moved towards it again and again, again and again, again and again. That is why it is pulling me so strongly even now. You understand? Whereas when in Nirodha Samskara, when you see that this particular thing which was pulling you so much till now in your life is not having that power now, it means you know that in the future you are going to get freedom from it. You understand? So as I do samyama on the things that are emerging within me, I know what has happened with me in the past. What are the things that bring tear to my eyes? What are the things that bring smile on my face? What are the So all these things are which are generating fear out of me, they are generating jealousy out of me, they are generating different emotions within me. When I develop a crystal clear vision, I will know that any energy that is released within me, it is coming because I have gone through a certain situation in the past. Okay, out of all this situation, only this situation brought jealousy in me. It means that in the past also I have experienced this similar kind of phenomena. So the kind of latent energy that are released along with these samskaras and the way the samskaras come, they clearly tell me that I have gone through this before. Also, how we come to know about anagatam? Anagatam will tell me how much dispassion that I have developed, how closer I have moved towards the source of the creation. It will tell me when is it likely that I will be free from it. Because the intensity with which the Nirodha Samskara is coming, the intensity with which the Vyutthan Samskara is coming or getting suppressed, it also decides the intensity with which you will progress on your yogic path. Okay. So Nirodha Samskaras also have certain kind of sound images. And they talk to you about that in the past, I have also gone through this Nirodha Samskara as well. But overall, this process will also give me an impression that how close I have come towards my goal and how long it will take for me to develop complete freedom. So in this way, by properly doing samyama on these aspects of my chitta, I will know at which state of evolution I am right now and how much time is it going to take for me to reach where I want to reach. And in this time gap, life is going to teach me what kind of lessons. It is very simple. No, life will teach you which kind of lessons. Wherever you are generating lot of raga and dvesha, you will be exposed to that more and more. So that you reach a state where you have shanta udita tulya. तब तक लाइफ आपको घसीटता रहेगा, उसमें रगड़ता रहेगा. जितना राग द्वेष है उतने वही वही इंस्टेंस आपके लाइफ में आने ही है. ये इंसान जाएगा, दूसरा आएगा, आप वही करोगे, एग्जैक्टली वही काम. Only people will change, but your chitta will keep attracting those instances, those people, because your samskaras have to be released. You have to reach a shanta udita tulya sthiti. Till you reach that, whatever you hate will keep coming in your life. Till when will it keep coming? When whether it comes or it goes, it doesn't matter to you. Then it will stop. This is your future. Similarly, whatever that you badly want, you will see that it will keep going away from your life. It will come again, it will slip away. No matter how strongly you try to hold it, वो आपके हाथ से फिसलेगा ही. Slip. And it will has to keep slipping till you reach that kind of a state where whether it comes or it goes, it doesn't matter. So, observation of my parinamas, my chittas, vrittis, is telling me all about what is going to happen in my future. So, bhoga and apvarga is the purpose of prakriti. This whole existence around you has only this purpose. आपको जब तक तुल्य स्थिति में नहीं लाएगा, वो नहीं रुकेगा उसका ऊपर. So, vivekavan people are those who understand the pattern and use their viveka, and by themselves try to reach a state which life is going to bring them to after many years of suffering. इतने जूते खाने के बाद वहीं पहुंचोगे तो अभी से पहुंच जाओ ना. क्या क्या करोगे, कितना सफर करोगे? So when you understand the play, the whole logic, every moment of your life, every moment of your chitta will clearly, tell you. Once you have observed the game for some time, how long will you keep playing that? So then desire comes. Patanjali says, Vivek aviplava. Person reaches, what is that sutra? Vivek khyatihi aviplava hano upayah. Hana is suffering. The upaya of suffering is vivek khyati. You have to take the shelter of the viveka. Buddham sharanam gacchami. So clearly our sages are telling. If we do not take that shelter, this is how yogo bhavati dukkha. This is how yoga destroys the dukkha in life. By viveka. So, parinamatraya sanyamad atit anagatam jnanam. Then take the last one for today. Here, in this sutra, Patanjali tells that you can know bhuta rat jnanam, the way, the language through which different bhutas speak, like the birds chirping, animal sound, or the language that you do not understand. You can start understanding that. It is not that you will know that language, but you will come to know the meaning of that kind of what the person or the animal wants to convey. You will come to know if you do samyama on shabda artha dhyana, which are mixed, which we call it as sankaran. That shabda artha and jnana, हम जब भी कुछ वर्ड बोलते हैं तो क्या होता है कि शब्द अर्थ और ज्ञान मिक्स होते हैं. दोज मिक्सिंग ऑफ द, क्या हो गया, ओके, Yeah. शब्द अर्थ प्रत्ययम इतरे इतरेतर अध्यासात संकर तत्व प्रविभाग संयमात सर्वभूत ऋत. Fine. So by making samyama on shabda, artha and pratyaya, shabda, artha, pratyayam, otherwise what we do, we confuse them together. All of them we take together. Pratyaya means the impression of that on my chitta. Now imagine I am sitting here, okay, and there is a sparrow chirping. I am sitting and I am listening to the chirping of the sparrow. Now, what is happening in my chitta when I am doing that? I get the sound. I get the sound in my chitta, and with that sound, I have the impressions. Artha. Artha is, this is chirping of a sparrow. Correct? That is the artha that is there in that substance. Now, on my chitta, the impression that comes is filled with it. In fact, in my chitta, I am already imagining a sparrow sitting. Even if I can't see the sparrow, I am already, when I hear the sound, my chitta brings a sparrow on a tree which is chirping. Correct? Now, this is not the fact. This is vikalpa. This is my imagination on the substance, which means that this vikalpa is going to block my perception of what the sparrow wants to convey. Okay? So, if you do samyama on that fine, what is, when I listen to this sound, what is happening in my chitta? So, you will see that the sparrow that was imaginary will be separated. The sound that is produced will be separated. And once they are separated, I will only remain with the sound. And all the associated arthas with it, that this is a sound that a particular bird produces, and this sound is so sweet, this sound is so nice, this is viparyaya. I am putting mithya jnanam on that tadrupa. It is neither good nor bad, it is just a sound. So I will be able to separate that also. What will remain there is the core sound. Then this, what I have done? First step that I have done is, I have internalized, I have done dharana, then I have done tatra pratyaya ekatanata, and then what I have done? When you say samadhi, as the first step on that pratyaya, I removed the vitarka. Vitarka is vikalpa. Savitarka is savikalpa. Correct? Vikalpa is shabda jnana anupati vastu shunyah. Correct? So I removed all the images of sparrow associated with that sound in the first stage of samadhi. In the second stage of samadhi, vichara. This sound is so nice. Though it is associated with the fact, I removed all the vichara also. पहले वितर्क हटा दिया, फिर मैंने उसका विचार हटा दिया. Then the very substance with which I am connecting, it has its own sensation, its own bliss. That also I removed. Then the last thing that remains is, I am observing this pratyaya, this sound, that is asmita. From vitarka to vichara to ananda to asmita, I clear, means there is a signal. It has a lot of noise. I am clearing the noise layer by layer. Vitarka noise, vichara noise, ananda noise, asmita noise. Then I am doing samyama. Then my chitta has become of the anukara of only the pratyaya without even the observer. Only that sound. When that happens, from my Vijnanamaya kosha, a ray of knowledge will come, which will tell me what the sparrow is telling. I will know sparrow is thirsty, wants water. So usually these are confused. If this is a step-by-step procedure, but when a yogi becomes a master, then whichever language will say, okay, you speak, I know what you are telling. You don't even have to tell. Before you utter a word, I will know what he wants to tell. There are people like that. As soon as you sit in front of them, they answer you. Okay, I know your question. So very beautiful. Fine. So we are here. This completes today's discussion. Anybody online or offline, any questions? No questions. Okay.
Sir, just one question. Question or the say, I just have one insight which I want to share. I don't know if I'm right. The pure soul has all the knowledge, they say. All the knowledge of future, present, past, all knowledge is there inherent in the soul. Soul is totally knowing everything. So when you said Vijnanamaya Kosha gives out a ray of, and it comes. So the ray comes from the pure soul. So when the avaranas are not there, automatically the soul will understand what is going on in the past, future. So soul, when it gives out light, everything becomes clear. That is what I think.
Yes,
Tell
Parag.
me if I'm
You
right.
can call this as soul. You can call this as the very source of creation. You can call this as the Purusha. So they
Yes,
are
sir.
one and the same thing. The Vibhuti Pada, basically is telling that, like, if I put a certain target, it will attract a certain kind of a vibration. In the same way, what pratyaya that you put on the chitta, in response to that, from your Vijnanamaya kosha or from your Atman, which ray of insight will come? That is what Vibhuti Pada is all about. So this pratyaya attracts this jnana. So if you want that jnana, focus on this pratyaya.
Oh,
This is the science of that. Yes.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Everything clear? No, this is a topic which is very volatile. You again and again forget it. But it is very beautiful. Very beautiful. You have to contemplate on it. Think about it. Read this class. No? It is there in YouTube. You should listen again and again, again and again. Internalize it. Make it very strong. Then you will see that your progress on the Viveka Khyati aspect. Viveka is something, very easy to get clouded. So for Viveka to happen, you have to do Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means every day you have to remind yourself. Night before I go to sleep, you will come to a state, उस दिन सर ने क्या कहा था कुछ भी याद नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ मुझे विवेक I have to do. So you should open the YouTube link, listen to it once again. उतना टाइम नहीं है तो 1.5x में सुन लो फटाफट. पर हमको उसको करना पड़ेगा. That Swadhyaya becomes Smriti. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti. Smriti Badhan. So you will slowly see that only, one understanding of these 4 sutras, if you properly develop, tremendous potential in accelerating your growth. Because Patanjali is talking about very core fundamentals of life here. Okay, fine. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yoparkarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.